Renowned American businessman Douglas R. Oberhelman said it quite appropriately. Infrastructure is one of the core responsibilities of government. I believe, Mr. Oberhelman says, investment in infrastructure pays dividends for decades and is a wise investment of taxpayer dollars. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry, and welcome to the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Today we'll be exploring some of those infrastructural developments that our government is undertaking to unfold dividends for decades. We have that and so much more, so do stay with us.
Did you know that the EU has been doing a lot of work in Jamaica?
The EU provided some 23 billion Jamaican dollars to help people living in sugar-dependent areas. This means new houses for sugar estate workers, rehabilitated roads, improved schools, health centers, vocational training, business grants, and a wide range of action to improve the lives of people in sugar-dependent areas.
Life sweeter for you with the EU.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, April 17. Jamaica achieved a record low unemployment rate of 8% in January 2019. This is 1.6 percentage points lower than the 9.6% recorded in January 2018. Director General of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Carol Coy, made the announcement at a press conference on Tuesday.
When disaggregated by sex, male unemployment declined from 7.4% to 6.1%, while female unemployment rate fell from 12.2% to 10.3%. Among the youth, the unemployment rate was 21.8%. For male youth, the unemployment rate was 17.9%, and female youth, it was 26.5%.
She said the employed labor force for January 2019 stood at 1,232,700, 2.4% higher than January 2018. Ms. Coy also revealed that female employment doubled that of employed males in the period.
The occupation that saw the largest increases were clerks, up by 12,800, professionals, senior officials and technicians, up by 6,900, and the elementary occupations up by 6,100.
Meanwhile, Statin's Director General says the inflation rate for consumer goods and services in the 2018-2019 fiscal year stood at 3.4%.
The rate for 2018 was 2.8 percentage points lower than the 5.2% recorded in 2017. The main factors influencing this: we had favorable weather conditions during the early and latter parts of the year, which resulted in good supplies of agricultural produce, and this led to lower prices for these crops.
Statistics show that the cost of food and beverages increased by 2.3%. Other divisions which saw increases were housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, as well as transport. This, Statin says, is due to the 3% depreciation of the Jamaican dollar against the U.S. currency and the fluctuation of world oil prices, which hit a high of $70.84 per barrel in July 2018. In other news, a new multifaceted police headquarters will be built in West Kingston downtown. It will be constructed on a 40-acre space known as No Man's Land, which surrounds Trenchtown, Arnett Gardens, Hannahtown and Denham Town. The announcement was made by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang during his sectoral debate presentation on Tuesday. He says the building will accommodate over 2,500 police officers. It will house all non-geographic formations of specialized units such as narcotics, the National Intelligence Bureau, and CTOC.
The locating of this facility in the heart of the western part of downtown, will complement the government's overall plan to revive and reposition Kingston City as a leading business district that is safe and orderly. Mr. Speaker, No Man's Land, it is sometimes called, will be a beacon of hope in our city and will elevate the space to represent hope, peace and prosperity.
Dr. Chang says the new police headquarters will have customer-friendly reception areas and green spaces to ensure a strong community interface. The National Security Minister also revealed that the National Housing Trust would be providing housing for persons who will be affected by the construction of the new Police Command Center. Meanwhile, further infrastructure investment will see a Mobile West being constructed in Montego Bay. This will accommodate 400 officers and will be outfitted with state-of-the-art equipment and furnishings to enhance the capacity of the police.
This government therefore undertakes significant projects as an investment to secure the peace and safety of our future generations.
Still on security, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says more personnel will be trained and deployed to increase manpower needed to execute more zones of special operation, ZOSOs. Speaking during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives, Mr. Holness said he would be declaring more ZOSOs shortly to replicate the successes experienced in those ongoing in Denham Town and Mount Salem.
You would have seen us engage in a strategy of training using the Jamaica National Service Corps to rapidly increase the manpower of the JDF. Some of those members will ultimately find their way through the recruitment process into the JCF. So we are using the JNSC as a mechanism to increase the manpower of the force so that we can stand up more of these zones of special operations.
The Prime Minister says budgetary allocations for the new ZOSOs have already been made. The Wickton offer of 11 billion shares being sold at 50 cents per share went on sale today. Of the 11 billion, 2.2 billion shares, or 20%, have been reserved for public sector workers. The offer is valid until May 1 and is open to all Jamaicans. In Parliament Tuesday, Energy Minister Favour Williams said the smallest purchase of the shares was $1,000, which would buy 20,000 shares.
The allocation of shares will be done on a bottoms-up approach, meaning all applications up to the first 10,000 shares will be met, and then in increments of 10,000 until all shares are allocated. This ensures that ordinary Jamaicans will participate in the equity ownership of Wickton.
Minister Williams reiterated that Cabinet had directed that no one group be able to hold more than 10% of the outstanding equity at any one time before the expiration of 5 years of the initial public offer. And finally, newly elected Member of Parliament for East Portland, Marie Vaz, was sworn in during yesterday's sitting of the House of Representatives. It follows her victory in the April 4 by-election in the constituency. The new Member of Parliament was welcomed by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and other members from both sides of the House. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
What can a little germs do?
Pink eye running belly, even flu. Germs can make them happen to you.
Put germs on our manners with these. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Always wash your hand with water and soap. Keep dirty hands from your eyes and your nose and your mouth. You don't want to be sick, take care. Practice every day, no germs on here. Message from the Ministry of Health.
Our government is developing and improving drainage infrastructure across the island, and there are many areas in St. Catherine experiencing these improvements, such as Big Pond. Take a look at some of the National Works Agency's big plans for Big Pond.
Big Pond has been a challenge for too long.
This is where I live with my family, and whenever the rain falls, I have nowhere to go.
So we can't go to do work, we can't go to do business. We're locked in. We can't go anywhere.
When it rains in the communities of Bannister and Bartons in St. Catherine, it really pours. And residents know all too well that this is because of Big Pond. Big Pond is a natural catchment area located along the Bartons to Old Harbour Main Road, and when it rains heavily, it floods the adjoining areas, holding residents within the walls of their homes.
Whenever the water comes down, you have a situation where the water will rise out by the front, 4 feet, sometimes going up to past 6 feet. It therefore means all of the air is cut off, going perhaps quarter mile up, quarter mile down. It therefore means nobody inside this community can get out on the main road.
The pond wasn't like wide out like how you see it now, you know. It was more narrow. But I understand that person going there and backhoe and pull it up and things. So that's why we get it so much.
Improving the pond's capacity, redirecting its overflow, and making sections of the roadway less prone to flooding are methods the National Works Agency has proposed as part of a planned flood mitigation project for the area. The NWA, in fact, has big plans for Big Pond and, of course, St. Catherine by extension. NWA engineers have been studying the nature and impact of Big Pond for nearly 8 years and have come up with a proposed design it believes will effectively mitigate the incidences of flooding caused by the pond. The works are to be undertaken as part of the World Bank-funded Jamaica National Disaster Vulnerability Project. This is a program for which the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, has secured funding. Other locations to benefit from the initiative are Port Royal Street in Kingston and 2 locations in St. Catherine, which are situated in close proximity to Big Pond. In fact, flood mitigation works have already started at these areas, located along the Old Harbour Main Road.
The 2 box culverts here and gullies at Church Pen, one that is located in the vicinity of the Muslim mosque and another just behind me here at the Church Pen Cemetery, are currently getting attention. So we're spending some 82 million Jamaican dollars here to widen both box culverts. And in widening the box culverts, we are doing 2 things. One, we are improving the width of the roadway for safety reasons for both motorists and pedestrians, because these areas are traditionally very narrow. And secondly, we're improving the span of the box culverts.
The NWA is widening the roadway from approximately 5 meters to 7.3 meters at the Church Pen Cemetery site. The improved structure will now accommodate pedestrians safely, as it will be completed with sidewalks.
At the Church Pen Cemetery, we will be putting in a concrete U-drain that runs about 250 meters. We have already widened the gully about 250 meters. We'll be shaping it and we'll be putting gabion basking a certain length of the gully for protective works. And it's basically the same scope of works that will be implemented at the site at the Muslim mosque. We are going to widen it to 3.5 meters, and the design is for a 50-year return period, which means that we do not expect that this area will flood in the next 50 years.
The works are being executed under a 6-month contract. The approach is to construct both box culverts simultaneously to minimize the inconvenience for the motoring public.
So what we have done is to implement the works in 2 phases by putting in a detour that can accommodate traffic traveling in both directions, demolishing 1/2 of the box culvert, as we have seen behind us here, because half of the box culvert is now in.
And yes, it's still a construction zone and vehicles are to adhere to the 30 kilometers per hour speed limit when traversing the areas. And with all that, there is a glimmer of hope for persons living in the parish.
The work that the NWA plans to do would be appreciated, and it would improve our life immensely. For we'll be able to go to and fro to our business. So we would be very, very happy. And we wouldn't be worrying when we see the hurricane season start or the May season come. We would know that we can move out freely.
My name is Bruce Croxon. I'm the founder of a fund called Round 13 Capital that invests in Canadian technology companies. My ties to Jamaica go way back because my mother is actually from the island. She comes from the parish of St. Mary, and so some of my very earliest memories are of visiting the island. I think Jamaica is an incredibly special place to visit. It starts with the terrain. I mean, it's physically a beautiful island. I mean, you go from high mountains to some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and you can get some amazing views, you get some amazing cultures, and you get some amazing greenery the further you get from the sea. What people don't know about Jamaica is that there is an incredible number of side trips and explorations that you can do. There's some incredible adventure to be had, whether that's hiking in the Blue Mountains or surfing on the North Coast. A lot of people don't associate Jamaica with surf. There's some good surf there. Jamaica is much more than tourist destinations. There's a whole island to be explored and probably more smiles per capita than any other country I've visited, so I've always felt very welcome there.
A significant development for our country is the Montego Bay Convention Center, which has expanded Jamaica's capacity to host major meetings and events. Here's a little more about this agency of the Ministry of Tourism.
Functional, a destination for international, regional and local conventions. Flexible, capable of collaborating with other organizations involved in marketing and promoting the country as the preferred destination of choice. Focused, servicing the needs of all visiting groups and individuals, exceeding their expectations. Situated along the elegant corridor of Rose Hall, the Montego Bay Convention Center, with its oceanfront location and panoramic views, offers the very best meeting and convention facilities in the Caribbean. This agency of the Ministry of Tourism boasts a combined 139,302 square feet of meeting, exhibition, and ballroom spaces. The world-class facility provides guests with superior event management and personalized first-class service from setup to move out. A 5-time recipient of the World Travel Award for being the Caribbean's leading meetings and conference center, it is the place to book exquisite meetings, trade shows, and other special events.
The most important and impressive of its achievements has been the successful hosting of the first ever World Tourism Conference in the Caribbean. I think that the way in which the center responded to the demand for a world-class event was absolutely exemplary, and I think we made a great impression on the global community.
What we really do is to host anything that falls under the term event, from supply of technology, such as supply of a fine food and beverage establishment that we do have on property, our own executive chef, our own culinary food production department. When a client is coming in, one of the ease of which they find to operate with us is that they don't have to go to 2 or 3 different companies or persons to do business with us. We have seen tremendous success throughout the year. One such success that we've had was to again nominated and won the World Travel Awards trophy that take into consideration the finest destination of event management within the Caribbean itself. We went up against 3 other facilities, very good facilities, but again for the 9 straight consecutive years, we have been coming out the top winner for this prestigious award. When you have these events that we can bring them in, and especially in the financial year 1920, then you'll see increase in bookings coming to the hotels. You'll see much more spending in the excursion activities. You'll see much more spending in the nightlife within Montego Bay itself. So that is where we look at things, the economic impact.
The convention center is going to come in for far more attention with the expansion of rooms that are coming in this area. As we speak, I'm looking at the potential for 5,000 rooms just within this immediate area alone. And then when you add the broader areas of Montego Bay, the convention center will perhaps have to undergo some renovation and expansion.
you'll realize that especially for technology, you have to have consistent or continuous improvements and inputs. And one of the things that we look at especially, and the local market has picked it up significantly well, the international market, because of what it's been used in the first world, we have to ensure that the convention center, it does have the latest technology and it does have all the latest applications. So not to say what the investments will be, but especially from a technological aspect, we have to meet the first world requirements. So that is an area that we'll always be looking at, always be upgrading.
The Montego Bay Convention Center, an ideal venue to host any kind of event that the human mind can conceptualize.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
And still on developments taking place in our island, our government partnered with its counterpart in Japan to improve the efficiency of Jamaica's fire brigade. Watch this.
We are the first in the region to be in possession of a vehicle of this magnitude.
For several years now, this has become a regular affair. The local government minister and the Japanese ambassador rubbing shoulders, testing new equipment and vehicles commissioned to the fire brigade. The cheerful and gleeful affair, a manifestation of several meetings and collaboration with one end goal.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade, as the first responder, must be in a position to respond when the needs arise.
I'd like to reiterate that the government of Japan is very pleased that this latest endeavor will have far-reaching social and economic benefits for the people and the government of Jamaica.
The relationship is decades old, since the Japanese government established bilateral relations with the island back in the 1960s. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is one entity that has benefited from the bilateral partnership. Since 2016, more than $10 million worth of command vehicles, ambulances, fire trucks, equipment, and other safety resources have been acquired for the local brigade.
And this kind of vehicle will place the Jamaica Fire Brigade in a much better position to be able to coordinate with the Jamaica Defense Force, the police, the Ministry of Health, and other agencies.
The donations have benefited fire stations in and outside of the corporate area. The servicemen and women of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Westmoreland have in recent years gotten well-needed resources. It is for several reasons the support from the Japanese government is appreciated. The fire brigade does more than extinguish fires. They assist the sick in cases of motor vehicle collisions, times of natural disasters, and public education on safety and security. Without assistance from the Japanese, the government would have to fund these expensive upgrades to the brigade with tax dollars. The collaboration with the Asian country has also provided for the restoration of fire hydrants. More than 900 were repaired, with over $13 million in grant funding from the government of Japan. It's the first step towards repairing more than 4,000 hydrants across Jamaica that have been marked for repair and servicing. Local firefighters have also traveled to Japan for fire prevention training. The now Caribbean Maritime University has also been gifted with 3 refurbished fire trucks and an ambulance to support its training programs. It has allowed the university to improve emergency response to the people of the vulnerable communities of Port Royal and Harbourview in East Kingston.
Our general expectation regarding the use of the 3 fire trucks and ambulance are that over time, there should be a decrease in the numbers of disaster-related losses, the saving of precious lives, and mitigating the loss of properties of Jamaican people and business establishments.
We have to teach our people how to work together, and this is what these emergency vehicles will do.
The relationship between the Japanese government and the people of Jamaica goes beyond words. It is a gesture of good faith.
The Japanese and Jamaican governments partnering for an effective and responsive firefighting service.
While we can't change our country in a single day, every citizen can do something to help develop Jamaica. But what if you don't have any ideas about what you can do? Well, JIS has your back, and we're here with a few. Number one, innovation. Innovation promotes economic growth. So if you have an idea, start working on it as soon as you can. Also, you can educate someone on current affairs or simply the cultural heritage of our nation. Now, this is a powerful tool that can make a major difference. Here's a big one. Help to maintain law and order. Be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And you can do something as simple as donating blood. Who knows, you might be saving the life of someone helping to create those fabulous box culverts we saw over in St. Catherine. Development takes a coordinated effort, and we should all work to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. And that's all we have for you on today's show. But if you missed anything, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube channel. Don't forget to keep up with us via our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. And on behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.